cases of the tree. I was doing resourcing, which is helping a person build up their strengths, especially before working with something very difficult, and she wanted to work with her sexual abuse. So I wanted to do resourcing. So the questions talk about what are your inner resources? What helped you survive? What helped you get where you are today? Like sense of humor, courage, creativity. And then outer resources. Was there a safe place? If you're in the past or in the present, is there a safe place now? But we were going into the past, so was there a safe place? She said no. Was there a safe person? No. Was there a pet? No. And I'm like, we're running out of things. Was there a stuffed animal? Because I have one client who still has this doll. It's very special. She didn't have any toys even. And I was like, oh my God. The other one is there's some kind of higher power. And she wasn't religious. And so I'm like, oh my God. And then she said, there was a tree. There was a tree out the window. So she's singing as the tree to her little girl, right? And I'm doubling the tree. The tree is like this, and it's a very Jungian symbol of the great mother, the self, right? So the tree singing, sweet little girl, I see your tears, I hear you crying, and I'm doubling this and adding, and then all of a sudden she changes into the little girl. She said, but your arms can't hold me. They're wooden, they can't. And at that moment I said, I gotta stay as the tree, because the tree's the mother. She needs a good mother. And it wouldn't help me to double that, so I sang as the tree, and I sang, but I'd like them to. It was a really and she's, and she started crying, and said, asking me, and then it was a period where she was just crying, and I was doing a monologue. I was saying, wouldn't you like to play, said the tree, wouldn't you like to play with me, climb up in my branches, feel my arms around you? And then at one point she said, but what if lightning comes and strikes you down? I play this a lot, it's very well known, and I had this moment of like, oh my God, and then like it's just my intuition of that my spirit will always be here with you. That the objects over there, the toys, the stuffed animals, the figures, the sort of Freudian archetypal figures, the dragon, they're religious symbols from different countries, Indian, Iran, Japan, China, these are the actors really, when people pick something to sing to that represents part of them or someone else. So they're like my actors. And the other thing is, there's a lot I've tried to have, every time I travel, I want to have, there's an international theme because I work so much with international clients, so that got Mexico, and that I just got in China, that hanging, that's from Korea, that's from Germany, that's from China, that's from Spain. So there's different Native American, when I went to Vancouver several times. So there's all these the international theme. Well, as a singer, I started out in musical theater, but then I went into jazz, and I had my own quartet, piano, bass, drums, saxophone. What I realized with the vocal, with the two-chord technique, was really interesting when I was doing my dissertation. I think it was after someone asked me how it began, or the conference, and I was saying it began with this client during my internship who didn't have words, who was very nonverbal, and and she didn't know songs, but she wanted to sing. So I just one day just started playing these two chords, and she looked at me and she kept going la, and then I had just been reading about lolling, and Paul Moses' book Voice of Neurosis. And I thought, my God, she's in this lolling stage. She's like a child. And she'd look at me, Not everyone makes eye contact when we're doing this work because it's intense anyway. The eye contact makes it really intense. You can imagine. But she needed that. And again, back to this feeding thing, was like, totally, I said, this is so like a mother and child. And I thought that was the genesis, or where this started. And then later, I was thinking, actually, as a jazz pop singer, as a jazz singer, I did improvise a lot. But my favorite part of the song was always the end, where you would vamp on 2 chords. So like at the end of Wave, I don't know if you know that Brazilian song. Yes. You know that?
Yeah.
Oh. It'd be two can dream a dream together, and then it's the 2 chords together. And I'd love the end because I could just do anything. And I had this one song where one time I was singing it, and I just started singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow to the 2 chords of Wave. And I was like, oh wow, this is cool. So I realized I've always liked that 2 chord, the freedom. For me, it doesn't feel boring. Some people say, don't you get bored with 2 chords? No, the voicings, the rhythm, the substitution, the chord substitutions. I just feel so free somehow. So I realized that it's been something that's been with me. It's hard to trace back something that seems intuitive, or one day it's just, Yeah. But as I study more and more, I realize, I've always liked that. Okay, so put that in the sound and movement. Away, 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 Generally, what it is, it's developmental. That's the way I look at it, as a metaphor, not that it's active. That unison is like symbiosis or merging. You haven't had a good experience with that, right? Yeah. Harmony is this some separation, that you're still close. Yeah. Okay. Grounding is when I stay on the root of the chord. It's like rapprochement, that, when the child goes off and comes back, you're still here, mommy, and they go off, and that's how they learn that they can separate, and it's okay. If mommy's angry,